So I wanted to take a minute today to talk to you about sleeping pills. They are very common when you kind of get to a desperate point where you feel like nothing is working, and then you end up getting to a point where you feel like you have to take sleeping pills. And I totally understand, this is normal, and I have been there myself. I've taken a few sleeping pills, none worked for me, but nonetheless, it feels like one of those last ditch resorts to try to get yourself to overcome insomnia. And there's a lot of misconceptions about them, and I just wanted to talk about them briefly today. So the only thing that can make us sleep is our sleep drive. Sleep drive is basically how sleepy you are. The sleepier you are, the more sleep drive you have. And the only thing that produces sleep drive is being awake. The longer that you are awake, the more sleep drive that you're going to have. Now, insomnia is almost never a sleep drive issue. Unless you are taking naps all day, sleeping a lot during the day, then that could cause some trouble sleeping at night. So what usually happens is our hyperarousal levels get in the way of our sleep drive. They prevent our natural sleep system from being able to happen. And hyperarousal is basically any heightened state of alertness from things such as worry, stress, fear, puzzlement, things like that. That's going to cause the hyperarousal that's going to get in the way of the sleep drive and prevent you from sleeping. And it is what insomnia is. Your hyperarousal levels are getting in the way. And the reason you have all this is because your brain is confused. So when you have all these fears of sleeplessness, you're trying to escape sleeplessness through things such as pills, CBD, meditation, anything that you take to try to sleep more. Your brain sees it as a threat, that there's a threat out there. Your brain can't tell the difference between an actual physical threat, like a grizzly bear running at you, or a perceived threat. So if there's a bear running at you, you're going to have this fear, and you might be trying to escape it, trying to do things to stop it. Basically your fight or flight system. And when you are trying to escape sleeplessness, you have all this fear and stress and worry about it, and you're trying to take all these things to get rid of it. Your brain thinks there's basically a grizzly bear out there. Your brain is confused, and so it activates the fight or flight system, and you get stuck in this constant trying to fix your insomnia, increasing this hyperarousal levels, and you get stuck in this insomnia cycle. So the reason we have these fears is it all starts with our thoughts. Our thoughts produce our emotions, and our emotions are triggering all these actions that are triggering the fight or flight system. It's like this chain of events. So we have thoughts such as this can't be happening to me. Why is this happening to me? I gotta stop this. This isn't right. This is horrible. All these thoughts are producing these fear-based reactions. And I promise I am getting to where this applies to medication. So when you think about medications, sleep medications, they cannot increase our sleep drive. That is the only thing we need for sleep, is sleep drive. It's a passive sleep system. We can't control it. It just happens naturally. And like I mentioned, the hyperarousal is what's getting in the way. So medication can't affect that sleep drive, but it does affect our hyperarousal levels. That is how it makes us sleep. We're not really sleeping because of the medication. So they affect our hyperarousal levels by affecting our thoughts in two different ways. Sleep medications affect us either through sedation or delegation, and both are kind of a way of kind of a placebo effect. So first, they affect us through sedation, basically through making us the way you can think of it is like when you drink a lot of alcohol, that kind of drunk feeling, you have a hard time forming coherent thoughts. It's the same thing with sleep medication that cause the sedation. And if you're not able to form these thoughts, these fear-based thoughts and trying to fight the sleeplessness, then you're not going to have the hyperarousal levels and allows your body to sleep naturally. It's not the medication making you sleep. The other way that sleep medications can change your thoughts is through delegation. This is basically like you have a sleeping pill and you're like, okay, this is great. I have something that's going to make me sleep. I no longer have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to try to make myself sleep. I have something doing it for me. So you're kind of more relaxed in that sense, and you don't have to worry about sleep because you feel like there's something that's going to do it for you. So our thoughts are going to be a lot more calm. We're not going to be as worried. Our hyperarousal levels are going to be lower. So that is basically a placebo effect. If the sleeping pills are working for you, generally studies show they only work temporarily. They're not meant for long term. They don't work long term, and eventually you may have some kind of stressful event or something go on in your life where the sleeping pills didn't work enough, and then you don't sleep again, and then you kind of go back to square one again, and then the sleeping pills aren't working for you anymore. Now, if you do overcome your sleep, or if you are sleeping better from sleeping pills, you have to remember that you still have those fear-based thoughts in your head, fear of sleeplessness and all that. So when the sleeping pill stops working, you still have that fear and your insomnia is still there. Instead, it's best to go after that root cause of your insomnia, those thoughts and beliefs that are creating the fear-based reactions. And you do that by teaching the brain that you are safe, that you're not trying to escape a threat, so that it'll take it off its safety radar and decrease that fight or flight and hyperarousal. And you do that just by stopping trying to escape sleeplessness. If you're up in the middle of the night, instead of fearing it, you embrace it and you turn it into a positive experience. Your brain will start to see over time that you're not trying to escape sleeplessness, that there's not a threat out there, and then it'll slowly decrease the hyperarousal levels and start to move towards getting better sleep. So that is it. I hope that was helpful and made sense. I'll see you next time.